Hi, my name is Dr. Catherine Hughes and welcome to this video where I'm going to be discussing what you can do to maintain your well-being during isolation. Many people are now in isolation and this can be psychologically very challenging for a number of different reasons. The whole world is in the same position. If you are worried about your mental health whilst you're in isolation, you're certainly not alone. Some of you will be at home alone and others will be trying to work from home with partners or children around or even care for somebody at home. There's absolutely no doubt that we do all need to take care of ourselves to make sure that we do stay psychologically well throughout this time. Depending on your specific situation, obviously, there are a number of different things that you might be able to do to maintain your mental health. There are going to be many more nuanced and individual circumstances than I could possibly think of to include here, but hopefully it will give you some ideas on how you can adapt these to suit your own circumstances. In general, the best advice I can give you is to keep your normal routine as similar as possible as it is at the moment. In general, the best advice that I can give you is to keep your normal routine as similar as it is at the moment. I appreciate that you can't go out to work or you can't socialise as you normally would. However, if you normally get up at 7 a.m, have breakfast, get ready for the day, whatever it is that you might be doing for that day, then try to keep that same format and those times regular. Do the same with your evening routine too. If you normally have dinner at a certain time or read or watch television or do certain things, try to keep to similar times. This will create a sense of normality and make it easier for you once things do go back to normal. The older people and more vulnerable among us are likely to feel very anxious about this situation because they're at risk of becoming severely unwell from this virus. I understand that this fear and anxiety can be very consuming. Every single time you talk to somebody, switch on the TV, read a newspaper, you just can't escape it. Therefore, it is important to keep your mind and your body as active as what you possibly can. If you were to consume everything about the coronavirus that's out there on the television, in the newspapers, on social media and so on, it will lead you to think that that is the most important thing that exists in the world. Turn off the TV and look for other things to do. There are lots of little suggestions that I can offer to keep yourself occupied and to keep your mind active during this isolation period. It is really important to stay connected with other people. I do appreciate that you may not be able to be in the same room with somebody or to give them a hug as you normally would, but there are certainly alternatives available. Use the phone, call people you know and just have a chat to them. There is always the possibility that they'll want to talk about the spread of the virus and how bad things are getting. However, you can always politely ask, can we talk about something else today, please? Don't worry about disrupting other people if they're busy, because if they are busy, they'll tell you. Don't be put off picking up the phone and speaking to somebody. Many people are going to be in the same position as you. Who knows, they might even be sat at home thinking about ringing you, but are put off in case you're too busy. You could also try a new activity, such as, I don't know, colouring, knitting, crocheting, painting, or whatever. For me, for example, I bought a Nerf gun that fires tennis balls to play with my dog. Turns out this Nerf gun can fire eggs, bottles, biscuits, bananas and so on. And my family and I have had endless fun at home playing with this. Try to come up with a game or activity that involves everybody who's confined. For example, you might want to choose to have a sing-along or play charades or read to each other, maybe even younger ones to put on a play for you. You might be able to stay connected online. You can video chat to people from many devices these days. If you're not sure how to set this up, you can always phone somebody and ask them to talk you through how to set that up. If you are already set up to be online, there are loads of online groups and forums and communities that you can join. This doesn't always mean that you have to go on Facebook. There are dedicated websites and forums out there for every single possible interest that you could imagine. Thankfully for me, there's loads of things that I've been wanting to watch on Netflix and on Amazon Prime. Apps such as these mean that we've got thousands of films and documentaries available simply at the click of a button. You could always sort out that drawer, you know, the one with all the odds and ends in it, that you've got no idea where else that these little things belong. Or you've got that cupboard that everything gets thrown into and you've got no idea what's even in there anymore. Completing small tasks such as these will give you a really great sense of achievement and satisfaction. Physical exercise is also important to maintain. When we don't move around all that much, we tend to feel more tired and more sluggish. Our digestion slows down and we can feel quite uncomfortable because of that. There are lots of things that you can do to exercise simply at home. For example, run up the stairs, or if you're me, you can hobble briskly up the stairs. You could grab a couple of food cans out of the cupboard and you could do some light lifting exercises with them or with bottles of water. You could also use your dining chair to stand up and sit down a few times, doing some sort of half squats. Exercising releases endorphins and dopamine, which do help to make you feel better. Staying calm is really important during stressful situations. I like to listen to some meditation talks and mindfulness videos on YouTube, and all of these are available for free. You can buy mindfulness apps such as ones called Headspace. I know that at least some of you will be thinking, I can't meditate. I've lost count of the amount of times that I've heard that. But when you begin to understand that it's okay to have racing thoughts while you're trying to focus on your breathing, and that's normal. Even now, after years of meditating, I start to think about all sorts of really mad things. 1 minute, I'm focusing on a deep breath in. The next minute, I'm wondering if bees have got knees or if birds can experience G-force. The important thing to remember is not to get frustrated with yourself and allow these thoughts to happen and pass. When you notice your thoughts drifting, bring your attention back to your breathing. It's not a foolproof way, and if you do notice your mind drifting, you can always reconcentrate on your breath or listen to the words of the meditation which are being spoken to you. If you are struggling with anxiety during isolation, there are loads of self-help websites where you can do cognitive behavioural therapy sessions which might help. If you do go into a full-on panic attack, get on the phone, if you can, to somebody who you trust and allow them to help you through it. It's important to get back control over your breathing during a panic attack. One method that I've found is very helpful is to count with somebody at first. So breathe in, hold for 1, breathe out for 2. Even if they can't follow along that count at first, it will still make a difference and help. Then you can ask them one thing that they can see, one thing that they can hear, one thing that they can feel, and so on. And so you can then draw their mind back away from this automatic fight or flight response that they're having. Have a read about online, as there are loads of different techniques which might help during anxiety and panic attacks. It's easy to begin to become overwhelmed by the situation. Previous studies on isolation have revealed that focusing on the present and focusing on the possible can make a big difference to your mental health. For example, avoid thinking about how am I going to get through the next 14 days. Instead, simply focus on the present. What can you do in the next half hour, in the next hour, for the next day, and so on. Try to think rationally about the situation instead of emotionally. Look for and focus on the solutions, not the problem. It is fairly important to focus on all of your achievements while you're confined, and take the time to share what you've achieved and share it with other people. You could either post it online on social media, ring somebody and tell them, or share it with your family during meal times. This can and should be anything small. For example, did you get that laundry done today? Did you avoid an argument by walking away maybe? Maybe you even taught the dog a new trick. Celebrate it all and give yourself the recognition for that and time to celebrate that. It can really make a big difference to plan your days out the day before. Even if you don't stick to it 100%, it will give you more of a sense of purpose and structure to your day, which is going to help. If you are isolated with family members, you could always draw it up on a whiteboard together the day before so that everybody knows what to expect the next day. Fights and arguments can easily occur if one person is doing one thing or believed that they would be able to do a certain thing and find out that they can't do that anymore, or somebody else wants them to do something else. So in creating this plan, you can discuss it the night before between each other. If tensions do rise, walk away. Remove yourself from the situation before you react to something. It's much more effective to respond to somebody calmly rather than to react to whatever they've said or done. Once you've hurt somebody or said something mean, you can't take that back. That person has already hurt. So have a plan on what you'll do if things get tense. For me, it's to go to the bathroom, lock the door, put my headphones on and listen to some music so that I have some quiet time for at least a few minutes. You could even talk to each other's strategies before tensions even begin to rise, so that if somebody does go to a quiet space, you agree beforehand not to follow them and disturb them. My son has only been off college one day and he's already had me rolling my eyes at him. Because he's bored, he kept coming into my office to talk to me or to ask me things. Bless him. He even kept coming in to see if I wanted anything, if he could get me a cup of tea or a drink or something. And this can be a little bit disruptive for some, and it might become annoying. So make a list of rules beforehand that everybody agrees to and importantly is able to follow. If you are mum and you normally do everything around the house, explain to your family that you need time for work or some quiet time and agree a strategy together. I've found that written agreements, which everybody signs, have been very, very helpful for my family in the past. We've just learned, obviously, that the schools in England are to be closed for an undetermined length of time. Children are likely to be feeling confused, scared and frustrated during this time. Changes such as not being able to go out and play or go to school and see their friends will seem incredibly unfair to them. Changes such as people wearing face masks or empty supermarket shelves can be very, very scary for children. There's absolutely no doubt that the children will have been talking to each other about it in school before this point. They are going to need you to remain calm and to talk with them about the fears and the worries that they're having. Our children look to us as parents to decide how they're going to behave and how they should feel about a novel situation. And if they see their parents crying and wondering what's going to happen or thinking that we're all going to die, the children will unquestionably believe that they're going to die too. The most important thing to do with children is to be honest with them. Give them honest information and advice. Of course, you will need to keep in mind their age and tailor that information accordingly so that they will fully understand it for their age group. So, for example, you might say, we don't have a vaccination for coronavirus, but doctors are working very, very hard on it. Or you could say a lot of people might get sick, but for most people, it's just like getting a cold or a flu and they will get better. The British Psychological Society has issued a few bullet points of advice when it comes to talking about children. And these are: you should allow your children to ask questions. It's natural that children will have questions and worries about coronavirus. Giving them the space to ask these questions and have answers ready is a good way to ease their anxiety. Younger children might understand a cartoon or a picture better than a verbal explanation of something. It's okay to say that you don't know. There are going to be questions that we don't have the answers to, and you should be honest about that with your children. Maybe your child has an idea too, and you should let them tell you, or you should help to draw out their ideas from them to talk as well. Try to manage your own worries. Uncertainty can make all of us feel anxious and worried. Identify other adults that you can talk to about your worries. Using techniques that help to make you feel a bit calmer if you're at home, such as music, breathing exercises, relaxation techniques, distraction, such as watching a funny film or whatever, and time with your family. Spend time with your family and with your children, talking to them. Give them some practical guidance. Remind your children of the most important things that they can do to stay healthy, but find motivation for keeping them going. So, for example, singing a song while they wash their hands or things like that. Finally, there are still lots of support lines available out there for all classes of people. There are ones specifically, helplines specifically designed for children, the elderly, suicidal thoughts, alcohol or drug misuse, and many, many more. And I do hope that you reach out to them if you need to. Look after each other. We're living in an uncertain time at the moment, and we don't really know how long this is going to last. So the most important thing is that we take care of ourselves and we take care of each other and we follow the official guidelines. I do hope that you will adapt some of this information to be useful for you while you or your family are in isolation. I do hope that you've learned something. If you've got any tips that you want to share with people, share them in the comments below. I'm sure people will appreciate as many ideas as possible of things to do during isolation. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.